There you go. Yeah, that's what.
All right. Yeah, you ready to go, Lindsay?
Yep.
Okay, we will go ahead. Call city council regular business meeting to order this Thursday, April 17th, 2025. It is 6 p.m. Lindsay, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Baker,
Here.
Brown, Cool,
Here.
Livingston, here, Meineke,
Here.
Mayor Phillips.
I'm here. We have a forum, so we'll move on. Item number 2 is the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance with me?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 3 is approval of the agenda. Would anybody like to move any of the consent agenda items to the regular agenda? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Livingston, seconded by Baker. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, same. All right, motion carries. Item 4 is a dedicated work session. So this is work session for mayor, city council and staff. Regular city council meeting will begin following this work session. Item A is a discussion about Beggars Night. So many of the metro communities have moved Beggars Night to Halloween night. This was primarily discussed at the Metro Advisory Council, also referred to as MAC. Councilmember Baker asked that we discuss this and then possibly bring back something at our next meeting to set this year's date for Beggars Night. Brian.
Yes. At MAC, they did decide, they did a survey. Many of the cities did a survey. All of them ended up coming back with the exception of 2 for Halloween night. That is what Des Moines, Urbandale, West Des Moines, Clive, I believe also Windsor Heights was added into that. Ankeny, I think also. Anyway, they're all going to Halloween night.
Halloween night.
We would be, if we remained at the night before, we could have a lot of visitors. And I'm trying to avoid that. Everyone has kind of moved and shifted because they don't want to be the odd one. They know they'll get invitations. That's it.
All right. What's people think?
I don't care.
What day is that to be on?
I don't know.
Ryan could do 2 Halloween nights in a row.
Oh, Grimes and Waukee are also on Halloween night. I forgot about that.
It's the 31st for 2025 is on Friday. Okay.
Friday night actually sounds pretty good for, kids the next day.
Yeah. Yeah, it minimizes the disruption to school.
I just hate to think of Brian not being able to do 2 Halloween.
Well, that's what I feel like. I don't have a dog. My kids are long gone.
Right, right. Okay, so what I'm hearing is council says, go ahead and move it.
Yeah, I think so.
Solution for next meeting. Yes, no, we can just put it on the consent agenda. Anything else on Beggars Night? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on. Item number 5, welcome of guests and public comment. Thanks for being here tonight. We'll go ahead and open up the dais for non-agenda items. We'll give you a 3-minute time limit. Realize we can't take action on those tonight. We can't discuss it since they aren't on the agenda. That would be a violation of open meetings law. We don't want to do that. Also, if you'd like to comment on any item in the consent agenda, now would be the time. So do we have any takers? Anybody want to address council tonight? You'd come up, state your name and address.
Evening. My name is Dale Bielenberg, and my wife and I have lived at 8833 Sunset Drive since April 2008. And I'm here tonight to advocate for your Highway 28 beautification project wall to be built at 8833 and 8825 Sunset Drive. It currently is not planned to be built there. We, my wife and I, and our neighbors at 8825 Sunset Drive strongly believe the wall would greatly enhance our enjoyment of our properties and also add value to our properties. Those are the selfish reasons we want this built. The non-selfish reasons are, we think it's actually going to enhance your goal of having this visually appealing corridor into the city. If you break up this wall, you're kind of back to everything's different coming in. It's not the same. It's not pleasing. It's not aesthetic, I think. And it couldn't be built. I sent a lengthy letter, most hopefully all read it and stuff.
Yeah.
That was the edited version, by the way. Well, Luke sent a nice overhead aerial view of this, which puts my aerial views that I brought to share to shame. But my view that I brought shows the garbage cans and recycling bins for these three properties sitting out there. Nobody would have to see that if we had a wall. But moving on, that in my life experience, these big, hairy, audacious goals that the mayor mentioned in his last Norwalk living, I think this project, this wall qualifies as one of those. And the reason I believe that, no individual homeowner along there can do this. It would be, the cost would be prohibitive, you know, to get everybody to agree type thing. The city has to do it. It has to be a community project. We weren't supposed to get this because, of course, the state highway right of way wouldn't allow it. That's why we don't have our own privacy wood fences out there now. We weren't allowed to do it. But I understand that has changed. When you guys started this project and they did all this, for some reason, the state relented and say, hey, if you want to build it out there, go ahead and build it out there. Now, there's just no, in my opinion, good reason not to put it out there. And that's what I'm advocating for. All I'm asking for is you consider to put this on an agenda item to discuss this before it's a done deal and can't be put out. In my life experience, I've seen many of these big, hairy, audacious goals, you know, come and go. What makes these things go, and I don't need to tell you, you guys have done a lot of this. This Norwalk Central, my God, 2 hotels, athletic fields, field houses and stuff. You guys know all about this. But to get the public opinion on your side, what makes it or breaks it is buy-in of this. It appears you have buy-in from those property owners along. You are going to disrupt those property owners by tearing out their existing walls, building this wall. But I think virtually all of them know that it's eventually going to benefit them. It's going to enhance their living and their enjoyment of the properties, plus increase the value of their properties.
All right, I got call time.
What?
I got a call time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for reading my mayor's moment. I appreciate it. Anybody else? Seeing none, we'll move on. Item number 6, we have 4 proclamations for Arbor Day. We have ALS Awareness Month, we have Building Safety Month, and we have Mental Health Month. So those proclamations are in the agenda. Please read those and be aware of that. Item number 7 is consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion.
Okay, I got a motion by Livingston, a seconded by Baker. Lindsay, would you call roll?
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Cool,
Yes.
Livingston. Yes. Meineke.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Item 8 is old and new business for consideration, discussion, and possible action. Item A is a public hearing regarding the fiscal year 2026 City of Norwalk budget. So we'll open up the public hearing at 6:09 PM. We've had 4 public hearings. 2 public work sessions and several agenda items where we've heard about the budget. We have discussed the budget. We have changed the budget, and we are now having 1 final public hearing as required by state law. Before I turn it over to Gene to give us a quick summary about where we're at with the budget, I want to state something for the public. The budget process is always open for discussion and debate. Citizens, taxpayers, and business owners can call their local elected officials at any time to discuss the budget. Frankly, it's easier to have some of those discussions away from the budget planning process, and we encourage that. So with that said, I'll turn it over to Gene.
Mayor, council. The information I will present tonight has been discussed by everyone in this room during prior budget work sessions and public meetings and hearings. I apologize for the redundancy. This is a formal public hearing and the final public hearing with formal approval tonight. This presentation is for people in the audience and online, and those who will watch it on YouTube, probably at a later date. Okay, so here we go. If you wouldn't mind, first slide. Just a few quick stats. Our total assessed value in the city is just a little over 1.88 billion. That's up almost 6% from a year prior. The year before that, it was 27% in growth because we had some TIF roll off. So about 6%, decent amount. Taxable value is 848 million. To put that in perspective, that's about 45% of the assessed amount. So we're under half of what we actually tax for of all value. That grew about 6.3%. Again, usually your assessed value grows higher than your taxable, but with that TIF roll off the year before, it just looks a little different. Our total budget, all funds, this is our general fund, our employee benefits, our TIF, our capital funds, debt service, our enterprise funds, which are water, sewer, stormwater, road use taxes, is just under 60 million. Our total budgeted revenues for all those funds is about the same. So that's a good goal. We have a balanced budget is what we're planning for, and also maintaining reserves. The rollback percentage is 47.4%. 47.3% for next fiscal year, just up a percentage from last year. It was 46. Tax rate is not changing. We're staying pretty even, about 14.88 per thousand. The state of Iowa, so the general fund, just kind of go over the general fund, which is a lot of our operation and maintenance, is broken down into 7 categories, and this is established by the state. Public safety, which includes police, fire, EMS, E911, and our building department, is 5.5 million of that, just under 12 million general fund. Public works, which this is mainly garbage. We have other public works fund that we call road use tax. This is mainly the garbage and recycling fund and some other smaller public works items. It's 1.4 million. Health and Human Services is $45,000 of this budget. This goes towards HERDA, the cemetery, and impact. Culture and recreation is 2.4 million, and that is library, parks, recreation, and our swimming pool. 910,000 is for community and economic development departments, and general government is 1.5 million. This includes our administration, our human resources department, our legal department, and our information technology. Information technology is one of those areas that has increased significantly due to cybersecurity. We've had to pay more for insurance. We've had to pay more for software, equipment, and we've upped our contract with the schools. They have done such a great job. We were getting a steal of a deal for a while, and we needed to increase that accordingly. The next slide shows those numbers that I just talked about, and breaks it down by percentages. Just to give you an idea, public safety is about 47% of that budget. General government is about 13%. Community and economic development is 8%. Culture and recreation is 20%. And then that public works budget, mainly garbage and recycling, which is a pass-through, is 12%. And then health and human services is just under 1%. Next slide. Road use taxes and enterprise funds. The road use tax fund is about 2.1 million. This is a fund that is based on population. Our revenues are based on population, I should say, about $140 per capita. This is a fund that is funneled through the state. The revenues are motor vehicle registration fees, motor vehicle fuel taxes, excise taxes on rental cars, use tax on trailers. And then in 2015, to bolster revenues into this fund, the legislature put in a 10-cent gas tax. So that's what pays for road use taxes. This goes for road improvements, snow removal, traffic signals, and traffic lighting.
And Gene, the road use tax, all of those fees are paid to a county or a state level and then funneled back to us by the state of Iowa.
That's correct.
And our update, our census, our special census that we did, that directly impacts that budget because our population went up as opposed to using the last 2020 census.
It's true. Our new population is 14,334, if I remember that correctly. And this added about 200,000, maybe not quite $200,000. So definitely worth the census.
Which ended up being the cost of the special census was around 200,000.
So we made it back in about a year.
Mhm.
So
Is there a time span that has to go before we start taking advantage of that, or are we going to get the additional funds adds up?
You should be getting them now. They
yeah,
were
I
made
thought
aware.
January 1 we were going to start was the last I heard.
Okay, good.
Water budget, we're gonna talk about this tonight. The next three funds we're gonna talk about. Water's 5.2 million of the budget. The big ticket items are water tower and Central Iowa Waterworks buy-in. Central Iowa Waterworks, we are a founding member as of January 1st. We will have to pay about $6 million to buy into that. Between that and the water tower, we will be borrowing funds for both of those projects. Again, we're going to talk about those a little bit later. Sewer is 3.3 million. We are a member of the Water Reclamation Authority. That is about 57% of the sewer budget. So basically the cost of purchasing water, wastewater treatment. This fund, what we try to do, there's no debt associated with this fund. We try to pool our cash or use reserves to do a large project every other year. So far, it's been working well. Try to consistently do sewer expansion projects or maintain our existing system, just using the sewer fund revenues. Stormwater, we're doing about the same thing as sewer. We're trying not to incur debt yet. Stormwater management has kind of been a big deal. It's been more important lately. But we try to save money every 2 to 3 years and do a larger project. That as well. Next
Gene,
slide.
before we go on, real quick, the Central Iowa Waterworks buy-in. So that's not a membership fee. We are a founding member, but essentially what that is all the communities pooling essentially all the assets across the entire area. And there are water production plants, there are large transmission mains. All of those assets were pooled together, and then our share of membership was that amount that Gene was talking about.
5.8 million. Round it up, it'll be about probably 6 million that we'll borrow.
So it's literally buying into actual assets.
It's a long-term game.
Yes.
Our rates should reflect that in the future. Next slide is the capital improvement plan. The city council formally approved this on March 6th. 2025. The total capital improvement plan budget is 10.7 million. 6.7 million of this is for infrastructure for the North River Sewer Trunk. This is for western expansion and development. A school trail connection from Elm Avenue from Ovia Elementary to a trail along Cherry Street. 2 plow trucks and ADA sidewalk improvements. These will be paid for with general obligation bonds, 6.7 million. Probably issued after January sometime. Bring those forward. Local option sales and service taxes, approximately 1.8 million. Pays for items, this is not all inclusive list, but 4 police vehicles, body worn cameras, street and parks maintenance and improvements, a fire department command vehicle, repairing the bay floor at the fire department, IT equipment, including cybersecurity software, and also our contribution to the Des Moines Airport for their expansion. A little over $2 million for public works. This is street maintenance, sewer maintenance, water maintenance, and wastewater maintenance items. And then finally, our TIF LMI fund. We probably have about $2.8 million remaining in that account or fund, I should say. 1.5 million will go for the Main Street water main project, and 50,000 for housing rehabilitation program. We've been putting 50,000 a year into that program. This slide shows the property tax levies, excuse me. We have 4 levies. We have the general fund levy, the insurance levy, special revenues levy, and the debt service levy. General fund, as I mentioned, pays for operations and maintenance of our departments. Insurance pays for our property and general liability. Special revenues pays for our health and retirement and other employee benefits. And the debt service levy pays for principal and interest payments on bonds. Again, the tax rate is staying levy. The general fund is going down by 23, almost 24 cents. That is due to House File 718. Insurance levy is going up about 9 cents. The benefits levy 13 cents and the debt service levy 2 cents. So again, we're about even. The final slide shows what happens to your taxes with the rollback and the rate remaining the same from current year to next year. I think it's important to note, again, I noted this in my last presentation, the dates at the top, the assessment dates. If you look at January 1, 2023, 2 years ago, 2 years and some months ago, that date is our current budget year date. So for fiscal year 24-25, the current year we're in, what you were assessed in January of 2023 is the money we are working with right now. January 1, 2024, the next column is the budget we are talking about tonight, which is next year. July 1, 2025, June 30, 2026. I think that's important to mention because residents probably just received letters about their new assessments for January 1, 2025. We will talk about that next year at this time. And those numbers will be reflected at that time. The rollback number, like I mentioned earlier, is going up 1%. This is not a revaluation year. Odd years, they revalue property. This year is not one of those years, which means your value should remain the same unless you added a garage or you added a room to your home, or you made an improvement, finished your basement, or maybe you had tax abatement end. Other than that, your value should remain the same from year to year. With the rollback, it shows what the taxable value does. Goes up a little bit. The tax rate stays the same. You look at the annual tax amount, what that does to your monthly tax. The increase is about $61 a year, just a bit over $5 a month. That percentage is about 2.39%.
So Jean, can you
explain, again, we talked about this a little bit at the last meeting. Somebody came in and inquired why their property assessment or value went up this year. You're saying it's not a revaluation year, but they got a significant increase in their property assessment. So I might be calling assessment value. I'm not sure what the difference is in the words, but will you explain the difference?
I will. That letter that that gentleman was talking about was for January 1 of 2024. So that will be for next budget year, which is 26, 27.
So even though we got it this year, it's talking about next year's, the revaluation year for next year.
Is on odd years.
Okay.
23, 25, 27. and
Right, so even though we get it this year, these calculations you're talking about are for 2024, which is the even year, even though we're now in 2025. It's for next year, right?
That's-
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good point, and why I wanted to highlight that, because I know it can be confusing. There's that 18-month lag. Not everyone understands that, which yeah. This concludes my presentation, unless there are any questions from the mayor.
And this
council,
is-
or the public.
To highlight, this is only the city portion, not the school or the county.
That is correct.
Or the state.
Right, or any of the others, any of the other taxing entities. Following up with Jackie's question, did you follow up with the county assessor?
Yes, so you were talking about when Jeff talked about his
Yeah, Jeff
increase.
Hope. Yes.
And if you recall at the time, I said my gut reaction is because lot sales are selling significantly higher than what the land has been valued at. That gets looked upon across the entire county. And our assessor has to make sure that land sales, just like building or a home sale, has to be within 95% to 105%. So it's kind of a grade card for the assessor, making sure that they're accurately assessing property. If they're not, they have to do adjustments. If the assessor doesn't do adjustments, the state will step in and force what's called an equalization order. When you get to that point, usually it's a much bigger number. So in this case, for land, a lot of people probably receive notices that their land value increased, possibly even their home value might have even went down a little bit, but the land value increased. And Jeff was saying that was strange to him. Why would it do that? I contacted the county assessor. She was very quick to get back to me and she said, in fact, that is the reason, because lot sales are selling above what the assessed value of those lots are.
And in our case, it doubled land value. Doubled.
And I've heard this same thing from even a number of people outside corporate limits that saw similar increases. We have some employees that live outside of town, and they said they received similar increases. Is that what you were?
Yep. Perfect, thanks. Lindsay, have we received any oral or written comments on this?
We have not.
All right, any public comment? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and close public hearing at 6:28 PM. Item 6B is a resolution approving the fiscal year 2026 City of Norwalk budget. So we just had a public hearing on this item. Jean, you got anything else? Okay, any discussion from council?
I appreciate them holding this down to 2.3%. I think the department heads have done a really good job.
Any other discussion or questions, comments, or any public comment?
Motion?
Thank you.
Second,
Okay, so I got a motion to approve the resolution by Baker, second by Cool. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Lindsay, would you call a roll?
Councilmember Cool,
yes.
Livingston. Yes. Meineke.
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Items 8C. It's public hearing regarding the Maple Heights Sanitary Sewer Extension Project. So this item has been canceled for this evening, so we're not holding that public hearing. Item 8D is a resolution accepting work related to the Golden Valley Improvements Project. The work on Golden Valley Drive is complete and we're ready to accept the work and put this project to bed. Wayne, I know how much you like to talk, so I'll turn this over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to, it's more related to the next item, but I'll go ahead and say it now. The average assessment on Golden Valley for this project will be $5,737. And this is lower than the preliminary assessment that we set at the beginning of the project. So everybody's assessment has gone down from the preliminary assessment to the final, which is positive for those residents. That's all I have.
Yeah, I've driven down it. Looks really good. Any discussion, questions from council? Or any public comment?
Glad to get that one done and needed it.
Yes, it did. Can I get a motion to approve the resolution as presented?
More, second.
Okay, motion by Livingston, second by Cool. Any further discussion? Lindsay, would you please call roll?
Councilmember Livingston,
Yes.
Minneke.
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. Item 8E is a resolution adopting the final assessment schedule for the Golden Valley Drive Improvements Project and amending, confirming, and levying the assessments. So Golden Valley Drive project was an assessment project. So this item sets the final assessment amounts for the residents along the street. And Wayne, you gave us that amount. You got anything else on this one?
No, sir.
All right, any questions from council?
Motion.
Can I make a comment? Yeah, we were gonna talk about the interest rate.
Oh.
Correct. Right now, I believe that what we have in the resolution is 3.5%. There isn't any magical number that we pulled up. I mean, the council needs to at least discuss if that's the right amount. And what interest rate, whether we're talking about is that over, they have a right, residents have a right to pay it over a 10-year period. And along with that would be an interest rate amount. 3.5 is basically equivalent to the cost of the money for the bond that the city borrowed for this. There's different theories on how much it should be, whether it's equivalent to current mortgage rates or whether it's equivalent to bond rates. And I think but it's a discretionary item that the council can decide on. And I guess, well, we wanted to have some sort of, other than us just plugging that in there and you guys not discussing it, at least having this discussion.
So the cost of the bond is what it's costing us.
Yes, approximately what is.
3.44.
I think 3.44 was the bond amount and we have 3.5 on this.
So I think we should set it at 3.44. I don't think it should, there should be, in my opinion, there should be no inflation in the cost. It should be exactly what it's costing us.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Does that cover the cost? 3.4.
Well, 3.44 was the effective cost of money, was it? Wasn't that correct? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
We're good
So-
with that?
Let me ask this, can I get a motion to approve the resolution amended with the 3.44% interest rate?
I make that motion.
Second.
Okay, so I got a motion by Livingston, seconded by Cool. Any further discussion? Lindsay, would you call roll?
Councilmember Minneke,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Cool,
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Item 8F is a discussion and possible action to release the Echo Valley Golf Course irrigation meter to Des Moines Waterworks. So several years ago, several years of severe drought forced Echo Valley Golf Club to use a backup irrigation plan involving their large city water meter. This resulted in a substantial water bill for Echo and a high peak demand for the city. Increasing rates paid to Des Moines Waterworks. To address this, Echo Valley and the city explored alternative solutions. Echo Valley has discussed connecting directly to Des Moines Waterworks system, which can handle the peak usage. This type of peak usage is detrimental to Norwalk system. Staff requests authorization to send a letter to Des Moines Waterworks approving Echo Valley's establishment of an irrigation meter connection within Des Moines Waterworks system. Discussion, questions from council?
I don't understand anything that you just said. I hear all the words. None of it makes sense to me. So could you put it in different words?
I'll try. So we've been incurring drought for several years. And as that occurs and there's irrigation, we're using a lot more water than,
Right.
which drives everybody's rates up because we go over our allocated usage. And they turn Echo Valley into a large water user because we have, you know, you get charged
use a
more if
lot.
you use a lot,
Right.
right? So to lower our daily usage and to get Des Moines, to get Echo Valley their water, we'll switch that over to Des Moines Waterworks and they'll supply the water for Echo Valley. Did I say that right?
And we in Norwalk won't.
And Norwalk won't.
So potentially.
Or
Point is a cheaper rate, right?
for irrigation,
Yeah.
today they do.
Today.
And then Echo Valley is just stuck with whatever, however that fluctuates.
Mhm.
Echo Valley's making a deal with that devil as opposed to this devil.
But it's,
Correct.
I do want
okay.
to clarify one thing.
Okay.
So Echo Valley is a big area. It's a golf course. It's housing development.
Right.
We are only talking about a single connection that fills their irrigation pond that shows up on this map.
Okay.
And it is a fairly large tap. It's like a fire hydrant that when they open it up, it flows a lot of water to fill that pond. This is a kind of a plan C. Plan A is there's enough rain. Plan B, they use some other ponds around there. Plan C is if there's enough of a drought that they can't pull it out of their existing ponds, that's when they activate this.
Actually, they've got a well and then.
I'm sorry.
Water.
Yes, they have a well.
Okay.
Plan
But-
D.
But the point is that whatever it is and whenever it is, this particular issue now is no longer a city of Norwalk issue.
Correct.
Okay.
It comes to Des Moines Waterworks.
Okay. This might be a little bit of a side issue, but I'm trying to understand how or what the difference is Des Moines Waterworks and our relationship with them and Central Iowa Waterworks. Is that right?
Yeah.
Waterworks is a producer.
I know, but I know that, but right, we're now we're the founding member of Central Iowa Waterworks. So what does that do with our relationship, our responsibility to our buy-in with Des Moines Waterworks? I don't understand how those two work together now.
So Central Iowa Waterworks collectively across the entire metro is providing the source for water. So they pull water out of the ground, treat it, and send that out to all the individual cities.
Okay.
The method that they pull that water out of the ground are the water treatment plants. That is Central Iowa Waterworks. Large transmission mains that lead from those plants out to the individual communities are also part of Central Iowa Waterworks.
Okay.
Beyond that, there are essentially water district boundaries that are typically our corporate limits. So each city has their own customer base that then they take that water from Central Iowa Waterworks, send it through our network of pipes, and we bill our customers. So what's happening here is one city is simply saying, instead of having that connection within our corporate limits, you can run a pipe and connect to the neighboring city to connect. So we're giving up one of our customers to an adjacent city. We went through the paperwork for Central Iowa Waterworks, our overall 2080 agreement. We will put language in the letter that addresses that, but this is something that is allowed through our Central Iowa Waterworks.
The formation of Central Iowa Waterworks, there were several cities around the metro area that owned their own water treatment plants. West Des Moines had it, Des Moines had a water treatment plants.
Right.
Grimes had a water treatment, Urbandale did. Well, everybody, not only the parties that own treatment plants, but other cities like Norwalk, all gathered in and said, okay, we're gonna put together the Central Iowa Waterworks. That's what we just formed. And when Gene was talking earlier in the meeting about issuing water bonds to buy in what we're doing is they did big mathematical for me and said, okay, Grimes is bringing to the table this water facility. And so basically we're equalizing the investment in the water facility. So Central Iowa Water Works will now own the old Des Moines Water Works and the old Grimes Water Works, and it'll all be under Central Iowa Water Works.
Okay, so when we talk about this, for instance, getting back to this item, this agenda item, when we talk about giving or whatever, releasing this irrigation to Des Moines Water Works, Des Moines Water Works is going away and it's now becoming part of Central Iowa Water Works. That's the part that I'm trying to understand, how, if. That's yeah.
will still exist because Des Moines has to be able to distribute the water from Central Iowa.
For Des Moines.
Or Des Moines.
Just like Norwalk does.
Correct. Okay, that's all right.
Yeah,
I'll
exist.
continue to ask questions. I
Oh,
don't
go
understand.
for it.
So,
It-
no, we can move on and I'll ask
Also,
another
just
time.
north of the Chicken, we've got that one lot, right? In Warren, yeah, that's within the city of Norwalk. We've recently received a request from Warren Water because they've got water up there and the owner up there wanted another tap of water. Technically, they're within the city limits of Norwalk. So we have to let Warren Water know, yeah, you can serve it even though it's in our jurisdiction. And then they can come in and put a tap on, because we don't have water mains that go up to be able to serve them. So we're okay with Warren Water to come in and say, okay, we're gonna let them give the potable water to this house up there north of the Chicken, right? This is kind of the same thing in that Echo Valley has a pond for irrigation.
Yeah, I get that.
And we
part
can't
of
serve
it.
that.
Yeah, I get that. It's fine. I don't.
Might have,
Okay.
they might have more overhead room that they can service that and get and without going over their limit.
I'm not asking the right question
Okay.
because you're not answering what I'm trying to understand. It doesn't matter. We can move on. I'll try and get at it a different time, another way. So we're good. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Comments?
Yes, will this have any effect with, if they develop that area south of Old County line,
No,
the north side of
no, it won't
this line?
because
Zero
the,
effect with any of that?
correct. The
Okay.
only thing that's being granted here is for an irrigation. Correct.
Got it.
They will not be able to serve any residential, commercial use, anything other than irrigation to fill that.
So,
And it's in our interest not to spike our water use.
Yes,
Exactly. Correct.
right.
it is of high interest for us to not spike our usage.
Does this cost us anything to do this or just give our?
We lose, so each year that they use this, I think it's only been once that I can think of in a long period of time.
It's rare.
We lost 15,000. We would lose in the future if this happened again, 15,000 revenue. But in the overall scheme of things, because it caused our amount to spike so high, then we pay more for water the next year.
My question is more of a, does it cost us anything right now for them? We just give them permission to tap on the Des Moines. Okay.
They do it themselves. We're not supplying like first to get.
Cost of the paper that we will write the letter on.
I assume that Echo Valley Country Club will get two bills then from Des Moines Water Works for irrigation, one from us for their normal.
Correct. Okay. In fact, arguably, as long as they continue to maintain that tap, if there's a meter there, they would still get a base rate meter bill from us.
Sounds like a win-win for everybody.
Great. Motion.
Second.
Okay, so the motion is to authorize city manager to sign the letter to Des Moines Water Works releasing the Echo Valley Golf Course irrigation.
It is.
Jackie's original question, sorry, was how long is this agreement in place?
It was not.
No, I know now that we're making, how long will it be in place?
We won't have any deadline, like this can only exist for so long. Once we've authorized that, as long as they maintain that tap and they don't come back to us, they'd be able to use that to fill that pump indefinitely.
Okay, so I got a motion by Livingston, a seconded by Baker. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Linz, actually, we'll go ahead and, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed, same. Motion carries. Item 8G. is first reading of an ordinance amending utility, garbage, and recycling rate increases. So as expenses increase due to inflation, our joining of Central Iowa Waterworks, cost of improvements in the system, and the new water tower, we need to set new utility rates. And this is also the time we will consider adjusting garbage and recycling rates. Gene, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. It's a lot of information. I tried to provide as much as I could. And I'll try to highlight that this is really hard for me. I'm used to saying, let's not spend money. So asking for rate increases is really hard. However, based on our current 2080 agreements and our projects and maintenance costs, things of that nature, there is a need to increase rates across the three utility funds, and then one for garbage and recycling, which garbage and recycling is almost 100% pass through. So I'm going to start with water because that's the largest increase. Seems to be the biggest discussion we have going on right now. Our water increases, I'm just going to try to highlight this, are mainly driven by two things. One is our water tower. We're constructing a new water tower. We should be getting bids for that this calendar year. That the most recent budget for that is $7 million. Central Iowa Waterworks buy-in or share of assets that we just talked about is our the other main driver of our increases. That is about $6 million. Due to the dollar amount of both of these items, we will need to borrow funds. We are planning on using about $1 million of cash for one of these. We just haven't decided, but you know, it's all in the cash flows. Just kind of how that pans out. We'll figure that out internally. We are looking to borrow with SRF funds or state revolving loan funds. Those are administered through the Iowa Finance Authority. The reason for that is the interest rates are right now around 2.75 to 3%. So a really good rate. And we don't have to have as much reserve requirement with those, if you will. So the rates don't have to be as high. We also have our own city projects. We have staffing, we have equipment, things of that nature. IFA, Iowa Finance Authority, is requiring that we do a 4-year multi-year increase. We don't normally do that because things are ever changing and ever evolving, but due to the loan requirements from IFA, we are looking at 4 years. Dug into this a lot with PFM and other staff to try to come up with the most reasonable. You know, we don't want to have it too high, but we don't want to have it too low. We want to be able to take care of what we need to take care of. So we are requesting 6% over 4 years to cover the costs. We believe this will be reasonable. Now, as you know, we just put in an inclining block schedule for irrigation, because irrigation has been a huge factor with regards to water usage last several years, not just in Norwalk, but in the metro area. If the new schedule actually changes behavior, meaning irrigation decreases substantially, we're not talking 25%, but if it goes to half, there may be a need to review these rates, but we don't really foresee that based on what has been happening the last few years with. Now, I know our rates are much higher with the new schedule, but with when we did increase the $2 for the 2 months, we really didn't see much of a difference. So we do feel comfortable recommending the 6%. We're also asking for increases to the availability fees based on meter sizes every 2 years. We put that into place as well. Right now, though, we only do charge one availability fee for property, if you will. So if someone has 2 meters, they only pay one availability fee. We are asking that this be a per meter fee. Finally.
That'll actually double it if you have a regular one and an irrigation.
It is.
Just the base.
Well, it's $40-some if I don't use a drop of water. thing.
It's a recommendation. Um, finally, staff we are requesting the large user rate be increased. Right now, they pay about 61% of the regular rate. We're asking this be increased to 75%. This is based on construction of the water tower. We went with a large user fee because we didn't think that they really affected our peak demand, but meaning irrigation. However, with the building of a new water tower, the need for storage is there, I believe. So that should be a factor. Central Iowa Waterworks is approximately half of the overall budget. And our city costs continue to increase. It just felt reasonable. I will say I did kind of a small survey of metro cities. I did hear from others. Des Moines Waterworks is the only other city that I could find, not saying everyone responded, that actually has a large, they call it non-residential fee for water, but they do not for sewer. Their first tier is about 75%. Ironically, I had just talked to Amy Kaler, who's their finance, and she said that they kind of use that as their first level, which is up to 150,000 gallons a month. So probably a little bit less when they go higher, but that would be our recommendation for water. I was gonna go into sewer, but if we want to stop and talk about water, we can do that. I can go through the whole presentation, then we can ask questions. What would you prefer, Mayor?
What would you guys prefer?
Well, I don't have any questions, so I'm good either way.
Move on.
Okay. Due to the fact that we're doing a 4-year schedule for water, we thought it makes sense to do the same for the other utilities. Some cities do this, some cities just do a 3% every year. Just kind of needs and preference. For sewer, we are requesting 3% over the next 4 years. WRA, Water Reclamation Authority, that we have a 2080 agreement with, they're 57% of our budget right now. It is estimated to increase up to 66% by 2029. The city continues to expand sewer service in new growth areas, as well as maintain the existing system. This fund has no debt as I mentioned earlier. We try to do these larger capital projects on an every other year basis, utilizing cash. And this so far has been working well. We do have staffing, we do have equipment needs. But therefore, we are requesting the 3%. We are also requesting a 25% availability fee every 2 years. And this one, similar to water, and also that the large user fee go to 75%. Right now, it's at 61% as well. For stormwater, we're looking at 50 cents a year for 4 years. We have not had an increase in this since I have been here, so I can safely say in 9 years, we have not increased stormwater. Stormwater management has become increasingly important and requested. We have staff equipment needs, as well as maintaining our existing systems. This fund we do similar to sewer. Save up and then just do a large project every 2 to 3 years. That's been working well so far.
And so with all of these, right, setting out these, I would say automatic budgeted increases, right? If there's some crazy windfall or some crazy sea change in the economy, we have the option in the future to amend that and reduce it all, right? But this sets it all that we don't have to revisit it unless there's a need to revisit it downward. Correct?
Absolutely. And
But we have the option to revisit it downward if it is appropriate.
upward or down, I hope. I prefer downward, but yes, we do. And then finally, the garbage and recycling, 2%. No, that's okay. We're looking at 2%. Metro waste went up 1.6 for garbage and 1.4% for recycling. reason I am requesting 2% is 2 years ago, I believe it was, they went up 23%. We didn't go that full increase. We tried to absorb some of that, not, take the burden, or put the burden on our residents all at once. So just those little incremental increases above is what I'm requesting this time. And that's just a 1 year, because we get those every year from Metro Waste Authority. Again, these are recommendations. We can make changes to the budget other than Central Iowa Water Works and the water tower, but there are other areas we can look at if you so choose. That concludes my presentation.
Questions?
On the garbage rate, does this catch us up even now? Is that? Will this pass through our actual cost?
Yes.
Yeah, I have a comment that I'd like to make. I've had ratepayers say, why don't you just, whatever inflation is for that year, just make that year increase. So people are used to, they know what the other rates are going up anywhere else. We have to be able to show that the revenue that we're receiving is related to the cost of doing business. So if a year that we're operating, there is not a justification for a particular rate increase that matches even inflation, legally, we can't ask for those additional dollars. So if you see that sometimes this is off, it's because inflation doesn't follow when we need to put a water tower in or when we need to do expansions to our system.
We also need to have a certain level of debt coverage. It's like reserve requirement based on if we borrow funds in the water department, make sure we can pay back. We have, the SRF loans aside, we don't have to do as much of a requirement, but we do have some from that Western water expansion that we did a few years back. So we're still, it gets lower every year, but we still have a reserve requirement for that as well.
Which is it's a good financial policy to follow anyway.
Right.
Or even though we planned this largely to satisfy our own requirement, we'll come back and evaluate this every year as we look at it anyway.
If we need to, we will, yes,
And we look at our revenues monthly
we do.
on where we're at with water and sewer.
That's good.
So by increasing the availability fee, I always have a tough time with those. But by doing that, we're actuarially able to decrease our per gallon fees, or at least to a minimum amount. Is that
I
the
would say
theory of
yes
it?
to that because we were thinking about 8% increases. And so we went in and dug in and tried to think of the most fair and equitable way to charge people. And we thought we have 2 meters. That would be a good way to capture some of that money. Someone with 2 meters probably should pay more than someone with 1 meter. Is our thought.
And Brian, the availability charge, we spent a lot of time talking about this specifically with irrigation, that in the months that somebody is not pulling any water out of that system, there is still a cost to the city to have the availability, that water to be on demand when you do need it to flow through the pipes. Even though it's not being used, there's still a
Store it up in
cost.
the town, yeah. I think
Any public comment?
Since we have 2 water towers now, can we use one for naming rights? Want to throw that out there?
There you go.
We one Norwalk and the other one naming rights. Might be a lot of money.
could be.
Ollie's working.
Yes.
Oh,
All that.
All right, can I get a motion to approve first reading?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Livingston, seconded by Cool. Any further discussion? Lindsay, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Cool,
Yeah.
Livingston,
Yes.
Meinig,
Yes.
Baker,
yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Thanks, Gene. Item 8H, does anybody need a break?
No.
Okay.
You know, that naming rights thing kind of threw me though.
I know. Item 8H. Is first reading of the ordinance amending chapter 75 and 177 of the Norwalk City Code related to off-road utility vehicles. Here it is. We've talked a lot about UTVs and their use on Norwalk streets. I'd like to thank Carol Hardy for leading the study group that reported back to council. Also like to thank all of the members of the study group. The report from that study group is the reason we have finally arrived at getting a proposed ordinance to allow the usage of UTVs on the streets of Norwalk. Chief, I'll turn it over to you. You
The
good?
ordinance is essentially the same as the one presented a couple meetings back with the changes we spoke about. It's been reviewed or the officers were given the chance to review it and make comments. I think it's as good of an ordinance as we're gonna get.
Discussion questions from council.
I spent a couple months in the Arizona, the desert, and California in the desert, where these suckers are everywhere. Some of them aren't as loud as others. I hope we do plan on enforcing aftermarket headers and all that kind of stuff. Some of them are really loud. You know, and everyone's, oh yeah, but have you heard of Harley Davidson? That's not really the answer, but then you ask the Harley, you know, is your Harley Davidson very loud? What? Huh? Huh? Then they always bring up the rocket ship to the moon is really loud. You know, everyone always brings up something that's a little louder. So anyway, some of them, you got to admit, some of them are pretty loud. And, you know, the motorcycles, well, they're not usually tooling up and down the residential streets is my difference. So I hope we're not making a mistake on this. And I hope that we are stressing no loud aftermarket.
That's
Stuff.
that's
It's
contained
in
in the
there.
order.
I know. I like it.
You know, Mayor, I'd like to thank the study group too. Not only for the information and the work they did, but for changing my mind. And I'm willing to give this a try. Let's see how it works out.
Really, it doesn't have anything with the UTVs, but bringing it up here anyway, is our bike trails. And I wanted to know that we have a pretty high fine if somebody's driving their car down a bike trail. Damaging the property, which you might not see right away, but it might set the pace for the district. If they're drunk and stupid or doing something like that, nothing with UTVs, but cars, pickup trucks, you name it, whatever. Just throwing it out there. If, what's the fine for somebody?
I don't know the answer specifically. It would be a traffic charge under the state code. I don't believe our city code authorizes that to be a municipal infraction. If it did, it would be around $250, but I don't believe that it does. So it would be a state charge through the county attorney. And I honestly, I don't know what the fine would be.
You know, I wouldn't mind exploring that for bikes that aren't on the bike trail.
Yeah, wouldn't that be awesome?
All right.
Okay.
So I'm just looking at the Iowa code for the definition of to operate. Which appears to be slightly different than our code, than our legislative definition of operate. And the reason that that matters to me is because in particular, as it relates to, and I'm just kind of thinking out loud right now, in particular, as it relates to intoxicated operating of a UTV. Because, right, because there's a difference under Iowa code, right? Iowa is you cannot operate a motor vehicle while you're intoxicated. Other states, you cannot drive while you are intoxicated. And there's a difference between operate and drive. Right? Operate means you don't have to be moving the vehicle. Right. You don't even have to have your hands on the steering wheel or your foot on the gas pedal. If you have the keys in your pocket and the car is not running, you are still operating it because you have the ability to operate it. And so I would like there to be that kind of mirror language, or also that kind of additional language, or some discussion about that, or at least that it not be eliminated. And maybe it isn't eliminated, because I think the UTV under the code, under the Iowa State Code, is still a motor vehicle. So maybe it's not eliminated.
I think I'd agree with that last statement. This does not, no matter what we put here, this doesn't trump the
Okay.
State requirements. So if there's an OWI or something like that, that would be written under a state code.
Okay.
It would use, that would still be a motor vehicle under the state code for driving while under the influence or operating under the influence.
So then perhaps we could add under section 2, number 2, something that references
Okay.
the Iowa code. And
We can
or
do that.
incorporates that as well. Just since we defined it here, I would like to incorporate that as well, I guess.
That's talking about riding on. I thought we were pretty adamant that none of ours, you don't ride on like a three-wheeler. You ride in them.
I picture when we make this amendment, it's not going to subtract from anything we have here.
Okay.
It will only add to what we have here.
Right, yeah, agreed.
Okay.
Yeah, because basically you want to bring it in accordance with Iowa code.
Right, but this, right, I think our code is written is to maybe, I don't know, refine or maybe even more limit how it can be used in our city, right? That's
Yeah, and plus,
that the right way
the
to say it?
intention of having operate here is more just operating UTV in general. So we felt that the definition needed to include what we have here. And operating, like you've recognized, may have a slightly different definition when you're talking about in the OWI or operating while intoxicated type world. I think it's easy enough to make sure that we have a common denominator with both of them.
So that's language that could be added before the next reading.
Yes, we can add that for the next reading.
Brian, Jackie, does that address what you're?
Yes, thank you.
Brian, what you brought up is a little bit different. The fact that it says ATV in here, and I know it's all about the UTV, not allowing ATVs, but is there any level of confusion even having that? Should we delete where it says ATV?
No, because there's also elsewhere in the code that talks about ATVs too.
Yeah.
So we're incorporating this into an existing chapter that also discusses
Okay.
ATVs and also discusses snowmobiles. But this does not impact that.
Brian, is that what you were?
Yeah, I thought we were talking about adopting something. It's like, that's not at all. Yeah, I'm fine.
Because this is not allowing ATVs.
Right,
It's
right.
only
It would have
allowing
to be in these, not on.
But you're saying we need to speak to it, right, Jim?
Yeah, well, this chapter also has the snowmobiles and ATVs in it. So when we were working with definitions, we're not just totally eliminating what's old and replacing it with the new. We are amending what's old to make sure it addresses UTVs.
Other questions or comments? Any public comment?
We're up skipping a jump from golf cart. Oh, God.
We had to say it.
Yes, I have to say it out
I'll
loud.
make the motion, Mayor.
Motion to approve first reading by Cool, seconded by Livingston. Any further discussion? Lindsay, would you call the roll?
Councilmember Livingston.
Yes.
Meineke,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah,
All right, motion carries. Just to let everybody,
I said, whoop, 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 whoop.
Yeah. Just let everyone know, second reading is going to be May 1st. And then the third reading will be after the legislative session closes. Okay, because there's I want to see what comes out of some legislation that's currently out there.
it'll be interesting anyway.
Likely, the third reading will be the 15th of May.
Yeah, because the legislation session ends right in that time period.
Yeah.
And they're discussing a bill that requires everybody to take a training and have class certificates and stuff as opposed to just people under 18.
All right. Good. Thanks for coming. You gonna stay? Round of
Kick 'em
applause.
out.
They can stick around and enjoy the rest of the meeting. It's exciting.
Okay, so we got eight I, it's council direction on the initiation of a parking waiver for the Fairway Fields and City State Bank Norwalk Fieldhouse to identify a temporary parking location. So if you've ever had a child that has participated on a travel team, you've probably experienced a lack of parking at
You've ever
any
gone to a
venue
football
you've traveled
game.
to. Huh?
Gone to any competition whatsoever.
Okay.
Or a concert.
So it's just the nature of the type of venues. To allow some temporary parking locations to be available, this needs to go to Planning and Zoning Commission to discuss. Luke, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, so we're just looking for some council direction on if we should do that. It is a zoning process to do a waiver. It's not an official rezoning, so we don't have this officially like initiating rezoning. But we wanted to bring it to you all first to get your direction to take it back to P and Z if we wanted to, really just as a preventative thing. Again, all the parking's built out there. We got all the on-street parking is available. There's some on-street parking on East 18th that's available, but we don't have pedestrian facilities next to it, so its usability isn't great. So everything that we plan there is there. So we don't know if we'll end up needing that temporary parking, but because it's a process to get a waiver, we wanted to go ahead and go through the process and have it available if needed. So there's a couple options there. I can go through all that, but we'll bring it back to you at some point. So.
Yes. Do it, all of it.
Any other discussion from council?
Yeah, I'd like to see him do this.
Okay, what do we do with our corn? Very much.
Well, that's
We gotta make sure we can get out of that.
This, if I may add, for the library portion or any of these other portions that are not city-owned, library land city-owned, but ultimately it would go back to the library board if they decided to grant use of that land.
And you do recognize, I mean, I agree with you that there is a current lease. So even if the council says, yeah, we can consider it and the council authorizes it, right now that's leased tag ground.
That's what I mean.
The lessee on the lease is
People.
one of the people in diligent, one of the people that's wanting it. So the thoughts are if we wanted to do that, we get out of it. But that being said, it is subject to a lease at this point.
I would
I
imagine
just
that,
feel like we're one step in the process and we're one of the people who would need to say, go to the next step.
Absolutely, yeah.
that would probably be part of the discussion with the board anyway. I would imagine as you guys plan.
With the library for.
okay. So can I get a motion to direct Luke
Motion.
Harris to
Second.
initiate the parking waiver process? Baker made the motion, seconded by Livingston. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. That motion carries. Item 8J is a final reading of an ordinance amending the official zoning map of the city of Norwalk, Iowa by rezoning 818.5 North Avenue from C4 Founders Business District to RF Founders Residential. So there's a house behind 818 North Avenue and a half of the lot, and half of that lot, which actually contains the house, is zone C4. The rest of the lot is zone RF. So the request will be to rezone the house to RF, which is Founders Residential, to make the entire lot RF.
Motion.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Livingston, seconded by Baker.
Real awkward to stop the process.
Right.
After hearing, like,
That's it.
yeah, we're good, we're good.
Lindsay, would you call roll?
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Cool,
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Meineke.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Item 8K is a final reading of an ordinance amending chapter 91, water meters, and chapter 177, rates and fees, providing for amended hydrant meter rates. So the hydrant meters are used for temporary water use. This use is primarily for water usage at new construction sites. At this point, the deposit that we require for the meter won't pay for the replacement of the meter if it's damaged or lost. So we need to set the deposit to be the same as the cost of the meter, which is what the new language is in the ordinance. Lindsay or Wayne, anything else to add?
Nothing.
Motion.
Second.
No, I get one in.
You go, go.
All right. Motion by Baker for the final reading, seconded by Brown. Lindsay, would you please call roll?
Councilmember Cool,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Meineke,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes. All right, that motion carries. Item 9, future agenda items. So the purpose of this item is for council to give direction to staff by way of a motion to have items placed on future agendas. This is not for discussion of the merits of the subject matter. It's just to get it onto an agenda so that we can discuss that subject matter. Any interest in bringing Mr. Bielenberg's request for Highway 28 fencing back to council, or requesting that engineering take a closer look at the proposal to uncover any issues or costs for the request?
Yeah, I'd like to see it done.
I'd like to at least explore the costs.
Okay, so I got a motion by Cool, seconded by Baker. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same.
Oh.
Okay, so, motion carries. Any other items? Hearing none, we'll move on. Item 10, council requires staff updates. So I'd like to remind everybody that this portion of the meeting is somewhat less formal. You may hear some back and forth banter, general joking around. We believe this can build camaraderie and cohesiveness between staff and council, but let's keep it professional. Start with Jim.
I guess two things, just comment on the fence. The individual indicated that he felt that the DNR had given permission to put the fence in the locations that he'd drawn. It has not.
Say that again?
It has not given
No,
permission.
start over.
The individual who was requesting the fence.
Right.
We had a map up
Right.
that showed the fence, basically the plan fence extending into and in front of those three houses that are
Right.
on the odd right of way.
Right.
He indicated to the council when presenting that the DNR had given permission to put the fence.
DOT?
Oh, DOT, yes. That's what you're getting. It's like, okay, I'll repeat that.
I'm good. Now, okay, yes, thank you.
The
Okay,
DOT,
okay.
the DOT had given permission, and that's in fact not what has been given.
Right.
So it would take some extra work there, but we'll report that to council during the discussion.
Give permission?
The DOT certainly could give permission. Will they give permission, or is it good to ask for permission again? That's yet to be determined.
Okay. Well, we'll take that right away.
Right, but part of the other, and I know,
We should.
Yeah.
no, I just, and I don't want to get in a debate. but
Yeah.
Part of my other, can I ask a
Sure.
clarifying question, I
Yeah.
guess?
Yeah.
Isn't this the same area that we were talking a couple meetings ago about whether or not we were gonna take that part over? I mean, there's just a lot to unpack
That's right.
with that,
You will-
which is why I don't want to get into it.
Yeah, that you're accurate on that.
Okay, anyway,
And yeah, we can't deliberate, but if it's time that you have a
Right.
report and you happen to say, boy, I would really like to know at the meeting this input from the staff.
Right.
That certainly is allowed. We're not discussing or deliberating. Second thing is with the annexation, I can let you know that the individual that's appealed on the annexation is no longer represented by council. So he's now representing himself. There has been some unique filings this week by that individual. Voicing some of the items that previously has been voiced on Facebook and everything, and it's, in my opinion, is baseless now as it was then. But it is, it is interesting. I guess that's the report I have on that one.
All right. Brian. Nothing. George?
Nothing.
Ed?
I was particularly impressed tonight with this handout that was placed in front of us from our economic development staff.
Yeah.
And I had a question on it. I don't know. I was wondering if they could tell me. On the back page, I wondered if they were relocating because I see the staff's names all underneath the Flamingo Lounge. And I wondered if, you know,
Oh, the picture.
I didn't get one of those.
I mean, it'd be exciting.
Yes, yeah, there it is.
Well, maybe no community development staff, perhaps. Anyway,
It's just a,
I'll seriously
suggestion that we
decide.
go over there.
I have nothing there.
I'd be in your office all the time then.
I got nothing.
All right, Lou.
Just says it's starting to get nicer out. Our nuisances are kind of picking back up again. Mainly junk stuff now, so especially with the pickup days coming. Got a lot of that stuff, and mowing lawns will be the next one. So if you know neighbors that haven't mowed, go tell them to mow so we don't gotta show up.
All right, thank you. Gary.
Nothing to me.
All right, Tony.
Nothing else from me tonight, Mayor. Thanks.
Nothing from me.
Deep Porter.
Just a reminder that this Saturday is our annual pancake breakfast. Big day. It's our 75th year anniversary. So we do have t-shirts and stickers available.
Oh, wow.
7 to 10. Come early. It's a big day in the community. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, good. Thank you. Chief.
Yes, yesterday and last Wednesday, the police department, half on each day, did team building event. We shared time together, having dinner and taking an Iowa Wild game. It was a good stress reliever for all the work that they had done over the last year. And that outing was sponsored by a local community member and Cateco Corporation, who donated the hockey tickets. So shout out to them for helping us get through that and have that night. Our life program is going to have an event on Tuesday for Earth Day. We're going to plant some flowers, and we have started our annual spring lunch with the police, where we have lunch with the second grade classes, talk to them about police work, good nutrition, and then go down to the lunchroom and have lunch. I started that 11 years ago, and there were 8 second grade classes, and it was not a heavy lift. And now there's 13 of them. If we get it done, sometimes we have lunch twice in one day.
Wow.
Great.
Yeah.
Go chocolate milk.
Government says the food's nutritious and the entertainment's great.
Cool. Gene, great job tonight on the budget presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. I have nothing more.
Nothing more? No, that's plenty.
Too much for me.
Had plenty. Holly.
Some fun numbers. So I just did some tallying. I was filling in the project spreadsheet that Luke and Lindsay work on to share with you guys on all of our different projects, and just tallying up some things in Norwalk Central. So in May, it'll be 3 years from our grand opening or our groundbreaking for all of Norwalk Central. So just in 3 years' time, we've had 11 new buildings constructed, 11 new businesses opened, 4 new streets opened, a new public trail, 3 public parking lots. 3 additional lots are under contract or sold for more development. We have 6 more businesses scheduled to open this year. And just in a quick tally on new value, $48.7 million in new value that's showing up right now on the assessor site. And so some of that's even partial construction. So in 3 years, that's some pretty hefty, quick movement. So just wanted to end on a high note.
All right. Thank you. Gene Strable.
Nothing for me. Thank you.
Shawnee.
Yeah, so the Norwalk schools updated their last day of school to June 2nd. We were going to open the pool on June 1st. We're now opening on June 3rd. Oh.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Lindsay.
Nothing.
Jason.
Nothing.
I got nothing.
Luke. Right. Wow, I can't, I know. What's up?
No, I'm good.
And ask Jean how to cherish the. Did that, didn't happen yet, never mind.
Yeah.
Oh, it did happen. It was last Friday.
How did it go?
It was a lot of fun, very well attended. We had probably 135 folks, and we don't have all of the totals yet, but we probably made about a little over $15,000. So that helps pay for the summer reading program.
Awesome.
Yay.
Cool.
Yeah,
Thanks for
great.
asking.
Yeah.
All right. I don't have anything either.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Second. Motion by Livingston, second by Baker to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye. All those opposed, same.